Welcome back to part 4 of our live training session here with our Honda Civic Si. Without further wait, let's jump into our live training session so we can finish up our calibration process on our low cam of operation. Welcome back to our live training session here with our K24 swapped Civic Si. This training tutorial, we're going to turn our attention into dialing in our full throttle, fuel, and spark timing on our 0-degree low cam or non-VTEC operation. We need to make sure that our 0-degree fuel and spark timing table is dialed in 100% because this is going to be forming the foundation for all the rest of the tables on our low cam. So 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 degree VTC pairings. We're going to be utilizing the 0-degree fuel and spark timing as a basis moving forward into the rest of those variable cam pairings. So we want to spend a lot of time with this. We want to make sure things dialed in. We know because we've started off with an alpha end strategy that we're essentially starting from scratch and building out our tables, which is a time-consuming process. So the last tutorial took a little bit of time to sort out our columns here from essentially column 7 to 1, so 1% to 40% throttle. Now we're going to be dialing in everything here from 60, 80, and 105. Now what you're going to find is that we're probably going to have to add some fuel in certain places and take away fuel in other places as we do our fuel tuning. But what we're going to be finding is that our columns 60, 80, and 105 in terms of our resolution and our fueling here are going to probably be very, very similar to each other. And that's because at our higher throttle angles, we're essentially flowing all of the airflow into our engine from our throttle body. So this is going to be a little bit different than a single throttle body where if you go in from 60, 80, and 100% throttle, if you varied your throttle input, you would find that it would still need a relatively linear increase in fueling as your throttle angle increased. That's not going to be the case with ITBs, especially with very large ITBs like this. We're going to be delivering essentially all of the airflow into the engine at a lower throttle angle, and as our throttle angle builds up, we're not going to find that we need much of any additional fueling. So we'll have to sort this out, but don't be surprised if your last 3 columns 8, 9, and 10 in here, so these last 3 columns are going to be tightly packed together in terms of our 2D spacing here. Again, that's because we don't need a lot more fuel as that throttle angle increases because we simply have all of the airflow at a lower throttle angle coming into the engine. So we need to dial our fuel in. We need to dial our spark timing in. Let's turn our attention into spark timing real quick here. So in our spark timing table, we've set our spark timing conservative in these last 3 columns. We have our spark timing anywhere from 3 degrees to 15 degrees. Now, we're starting off with conservative spark timing because number 1, we're high compression, and number 2, we want to dial our fuel in first. We don't want to have advanced or too advanced spark timing values where we get knock-up pre-ignition in full throttle conditions, which can damage the engine. We want to avoid that. So we want to have low spark timing. This allows us to dial the fuel tables in first and then also evaluate if we need to make any update changes in our knock sensitivity tables. So if we have low spark timing, we're generating a lot of knock counts, and we're finding if we vary the spark timing and let's say we pull spark timing out and it doesn't change anything, that means that we need to increase those knock sensitivity tables. They're simply going to be too conservative, and now that we've changed all the parts on the engine, we need to bump those sensitivity tables up. So that's going to be part of the calibration process here, and I'll walk you through what to look for in graphical plots as we capture the data and do our pulls. But we want to make sure that we have, again, conservative spark timing. So 15 degrees is pretty reasonable spark timing to start off with here, even though I'm about 12.5, 13 to 1 compression. On pump gas, this should still be safe. We shouldn't still have any problems. So we're going to be dialing everything in, fuel first, then spark timing. Then once we've sorted out fuel and spark timing for 0 degree, we've already dialed the part throttle and idle in the last tutorial for 0 degree. We can then copy and paste our 0 fuel and spark timing into the 10 degree. Then we can calibrate that. We're not going to go through that in this tutorial. We're only going to be focusing on 0 degree, so we really have just a concise process for dialing this in. Then the next tutorial, we'll jump in and take a look at doing the variable cam blending on low cam. Then the tutorial after that will be VTEC and doing the variable cam tuning after we do low cam. So it's going to be a process. We still have a couple more tutorials to go here, but this should be very clear of how to dial everything in with individual throttle bodies on this alpha end strategy. So we are looking at dialing in our last 3 columns here. Let's jump back into our fuel table. So columns 8, 9, and 10 is what we're looking for here. What we're going to find, though, is when we dial things in with our alpha end strategy, we're going to find that we're essentially delivering all of the airflow here. Looking at this, all of the airflow is going to be coming in from probably 40, 60% throttle. We're going to be delivering every last bit of airflow into the engine, and we'll find that when we go to 80 or 100% throttle, we're really not bringing that much more airflow into the engine. That's because we have really large throttle bodies, 64 mil throttle bodies for each runner or each cylinder, and as a result, we're going to find that we will have more of an unlinear relationship
with our fueling versus throttle angle. So as we give more throttle, we don't necessarily need a lot more fueling. So we'll find that our two-dimensional spacing here between columns 8, 9, and 10, 60, 80, and 105% throttle, they're going to be more tightly packed compared to something like going between 5 and 20% or 7 and 40%. So that is another trend that we'll find with the individual throttle bodies as we're mapping things out here. So we have a good idea of what we're going to be accomplishing here and how we're going to be going about it. We will be using the wideband air fuel reading, and we're going to compare that against our commanded air fuel. We've gone in and calculated or set up our commanded air fuel to be 12.6 in these columns right here. So when we get into this higher throttle angle, we'll be commanding a richer mixture, and we'll be tuning off that richer mixture. Once we've dialed our main fuel table in here 100% and that we're hitting our desired target, if for whatever reason you want to change your target air fuel, let's say you want to go from 12.6 to 13 air fuel just to experiment, if there's any difference in power, you can simply highlight your values.
Thanks for checking out our teaser clip. If you want to see the rest of this video and more than 500 hours of current EFI training we have to offer, make sure you click right here. If you want to go and check out more teaser clips from this training course, click here, and you don't want to miss any of the videos we're going to be releasing on this channel, so make sure you subscribe and click here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.